You've got a blank checkbook. You can build your dream home, but it has to be one of these 10 old house styles that are no longer built today. Would you live in a house shaped like an octagon or built entirely from steel? Let's talk about it in this video. Number 10. Octagon houses. We're kicking off our list with one of the most eyebrow-raising home styles of all time. Can you imagine living in a house that isn't square or rectangular? Eight-sided houses were a thing back in the 1800s. The trend was started by Orson Squire Fowler, who was an advocate of utopian socialist Charles Fourier's ideas. Fowler believed that octagon houses were the ideal dwelling and wrote several books on the subject. But aside from being eight-sided, what made them so special? According to Fowler, they were perfect because of their efficiency. He claimed that an octagon house required fewer window frames, doors, roof shingles, paint cans, and so on compared to a standard home. There was also allegedly no wasted space in an octagon house, even in the attic. But the octagon houses had some glaring downsides. They weren't very private, as windows were centered directly across from each other. And building an octagon house wasn't cheap. Some people said that Fowler was kind of weird. He apparently drove his neighbors insane by hammering away at octagon-shaped boards. But it's not clear whether he actually lived in an octagon house himself. After his death in 1879, the trend died out. No one really knows why. It's possible that buyers didn't like the interior layout of an octagon house, since the rooms often had odd shapes and angles. Or maybe the homes just looked too strange. Number 9. Queen Anne. Imagine stepping inside a storybook and seeing your own home waiting for you. The homes in this photo look like something out of a fairy tale. This is called Queen Anne, and it was popular in the United States between 1880 and 1910. Queen Anne was known for its whimsical exteriors. The style was inspired by the eclectic architecture of 18th century England. In particular, it paid homage to the work of architect and designer Charles and Mary Webb. Queen Anne homes were usually painted in bright colors and featured intricate decorations. Each one was truly unique. They may have been built to look medieval, but Queen Anne homes were actually quite progressive. For example, they often included bathrooms on the second floor near bedrooms, rather than having them on the lowest level. But the style also had a downside. Not only were Queen Anne homes pricey, they were also high maintenance. All those decorative elements on the exterior needed to be painted frequently. Plus, many homeowners struggled with upkeep. It's possible that this contributed to the style falling out of favor during the Great Depression, when people wanted plainer homes. Number 8. American Foursquare. During the 1800s, Americans seemed to love dressing up their homes. But at the turn of the century, there was a major backlash against fussy Victorian interiors and exteriors. This led to the prairie box, a humble and unadorned style that became popular around 1900. The prairie box was especially beloved in the Midwest, where it got its nickname. As the name suggested, it was simple and plain. Unlike the previous styles on our list, the American Foursquare wasn't meant to stand out on the block. Instead, it was meant to be boxy and efficient. This style was affordable and practical, making it a great option for growing families. If you wanted a prairie box, you could even buy a mail-order kit. Companies advertised that they could deliver everything you needed in a box to your nearest train station. But there was a catch. The kits sometimes arrived with shoddy materials and instructions that were impossible to decipher. Some historians believe that this is where the rumor that mail-order homes were always flimsy and fell apart after a few years came from. What do you think? No? 7. American Craftsman. Would you like to live in a handcrafted home? The idea of a home that was pieced together with loving care rather than mass-produced is romantic. The good news is that you can still find homes in this style dotted throughout the United States. Originally called the American Craftsman, this style was part of the larger arts and crafts movement that was popular from the 1890s to the 1920s. It was especially big in California, where bungalows were prized by Hollywood stars. One of the biggest names in the arts and crafts movement was Gustav Stickley, whose furniture is still sold today. He also designed homes in this style, which had low-pitched roofs, exposed beams, and natural materials. These homes blended indoor and outdoor spaces seamlessly, which was a nice change from the stuffy interiors of Victorian mansions. Unfortunately, the Great Depression hit the American craftsman hard. It was seen as a middle-class style and was largely abandoned once people's wallets shrank. However, it never really went away. People still occasionally built homes in this style, although they were more common after World War II. Number 6. Shotgun houses. Here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that you could theoretically shoot a bullet all the way through some houses? We're not suggesting that you try this at home, but these long, narrow homes are actually called shotgun houses. They were named this way because if someone were to fire a gun at one end, the bullet would likely exit out the other side. These homes were developed in the 1700s and became especially popular in New Orleans. Shotgun houses were small, affordable, and rented for cheap. This made them ideal for poor families and freed slaves who moved to the city. In a shotgun house, all the rooms are in a row with one door leading into the next. This meant that hallways were unnecessary. In fact, many shotgun houses don't have any hallways at all. Although they were popular until the early 1900s, shotgun houses are rarely built today. Some people say they went out of style because they were too cramped. Others claim that they're unsafe because a bullet could go flying through your neighbor's wall. But this hasn't stopped modern architects from taking inspiration from shotgun houses, especially in dense urban areas. No 5 Lustron homes. Would you live in an all-steel house? Maybe not after you hear how these things rusted. The Lustron Corporation was founded in Columbus, Ohio after World War II. They specialized in creating affordable, modern, and stylish homes made from steel. Their slogan was "Built to Last," but it turned out they were underselling themselves. The homes did last a long time, but not without serious problems. From 1941 to 1946, the federal government funded a series of experiments to see how well steel could be used in housing. This was partly to figure out what to do with all the metal that was left over from the war effort. Because of this funding, steel suddenly became a viable material for homes. By 1948, the federal government had already purchased 1,500 Lustron homes for returning veterans. President Truman even lived in one while White House renovations were being done. But the Lustron Corporation went bankrupt in 1950, which left a lot of homeowners with seriously flawed houses. Rumors abound that the company was sabotaged by the federal government so that traditional construction companies could take over the housing market. Could this be true? Let us know in the comments below. No. For Atomic Ranch, the 1950s were all about looking to the future. Many Americans dreamed of a sleek, shiny world that resembled something from outer space. This mindset bled into the design world, resulting in homes that looked like spaceships. Atomic Ranch was one of the most popular styles of the decade. These single-story homes had clean lines, large windows, and open floor plans. They were usually small, though, as they were intended for suburban lots. Families could enjoy the outdoors from inside their homes thanks to walls that slid open to reveal patios and swimming pools. While Atomic Ranch was initially a success, its futuristic vibe didn't translate well into the long term. Many critics felt that the large windows let in too much heat or cold. Others argued that the designs were too dramatic and over the top. Number 3. Brutalist homes. Have you ever seen a brutalist home and known you didn't like it? Then you've probably experienced the same shock that architects felt when they first saw the style. Brutalist homes look raw and unfinished. They're usually made mostly from concrete and have little ornamentation. In fact, they resemble more of a commercial building than a home. Brutalist homes were a part of the modernist movement that gained traction after World War II. The style was especially popular in Europe, where architects experimented with new building materials and techniques. Many of these homes were built as social housing projects, meaning they were often in rough neighborhoods. And this gave them a bad reputation. Most people found them ugly, uncomfortable, and oppressive. The term brutalism even comes from French architects who described the style as architecture brute, meaning raw architecture. But this wasn't just an aesthetic choice. Architects genuinely believed that these bare-bones buildings were better than fancier alternatives. Sadly, this didn't stop people from tearing down brutalist homes. Today, the style is largely seen as a failure. But some argue that they were unfairly criticized because of the urban decay around them rather than the buildings themselves. What do you think? Which of these old house styles would you bring back today? Let us know in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. We think you'll love our video on 10 weird things found in old homes. Thanks for watching. Until next time.